the universe, or God, or whoever. It's Nicole. Things have been kind of crazy lately. Could you send me a sign that everything's gonna be okay? That all of this is happening for a reason? That the darkness is supposed to help me see the light? Welcome back to Sensible Soul. Today we're going to be discussing those moments that just seem too weird to be coincidence. Have you ever asked the universe for a sign and then gotten one? Maybe you keep finding feathers on the ground or seeing repeated numbers everywhere. These moments really might be more than just coincidences or your mind playing tricks on you. They could be synchronicities, but sometimes it's hard to tell. So let's start with the difference between a coincidence and a synchronicity. A coincidence is a striking occurrence of two or more events happening at one time, apparently by mere chance. So a good example of a coincidence is kind of like running into someone you know at the grocery store. And I also want to point out here that some people, especially in the spiritual community, believe that nothing is coincidence and that everything is connected and everything has meaning. And this might be true in the bigger picture of things. If we were able to zoom out and look at the entire universe all at once, as rapidly changing as it might be, we'd probably be able to see how everything is connected. But we're human, and so we don't get to see everything at once. We have a very limited, restricted, narrow perspective of the entire universe. We're not seeing all the parts at once. We're only seeing some of the parts. And because of our limited human perspective, some things can appear to be coincidental. I also want to mention that this is one of the points of spirituality, is to kind of give us glimpses of the entire universe at once, if we practice it correctly. But for the most part, us as humans are not able to see the entire universe all at once, which is the reason coincidences exist in the first place. So with that in mind, I want to go back to our definition of what a coincidence is and add something to it. So a coincidence is absolutely when two or more events occur at once, seemingly by chance. But I want to add to our definition that a coincidence has no significant or obvious meaning to the individuals involved. For example, when you run into someone you know at the grocery store, you're probably not going to walk away thinking, wow, the universe was really trying to send me a profound message there, are you? Well, maybe some of you, but, for the most part, you're not. And that's the real difference between a coincidence and a synchronicity. Synchronicities are moments when we as humans are able to realize that the universe is capable of something as human as answering a question or giving us a sign. You might also know synchronicities as omens or signs. Synchronicities are meaningful coincidences. Carl Jung coined the term synchronicity in 1952 with his collaborative work with the physicist Wolfgang Pauli. In their work, Synchronicity, an acausal connecting principle. Carl Jung defines synchronicity as an uncanny juxtaposition between the inner world and the outer world. So in other words, it's when something that's occurring in your inner world or your mind parallels, matches completely up with something happening outside of yourself, some event, some experience. And Carl Jung offered a couple of different explanations for synchronicities and how they can possibly exist. The first was that physical processes cause some kind of psychic or internal phenomena, or vice versa. And this seems unlikely that Jung himself even believed this definition, because the title of his work was an acausal principle, in other words, a no-cause principle of connection. He also suggested that synchronicities could be explained by some kind of psyche, some kind of pre-existent psyche that organizes matter. In other words, a nudge from some force outside of our immediate awareness, whose purpose is to tell us that life isn't as meaningless as it seems, and to remind us that the universe itself might be conscious somehow. In the New Age movement, there's a lot of popular examples of synchronicities. The first is known as angel numbers, or repeating numbers that you see throughout your day. So, for example, you'd see 1111, or 444, or 333. And each set of numbers has a specific meaning associated with it. Same goes for finding feathers on the ground, kind of like I did. And each color of the feather has a specific meaning associated with it. And critics attempt to discredit this form of synchronicity with something known as the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon. And this phenomenon attempts to discredit moments when you're like, oh my gosh, I swear I keep seeing that everywhere. Oh my gosh, I swear I just saw that thing. By suggesting that what's really happening is your subconscious is selectively focusing on something without you having to consciously decide to focus on it. Some people will consider this a complete invalidation of synchronicity, but I personally consider the fact that if your subconscious is selectively focusing on something, it's probably for a reason, and it might be something important, and something that's worth paying attention to. Okay, so I can understand that trying to distinguish between coincidence and your mind playing tricks on you and synchronicity can get kind of complicated, because say you're going out for a walk and you see 333, and then you see 333 again, but then you see 888, and then 555, and then 888 minus 555 is 333, and it can just get really confusing and complicated really quickly. So just remember that a true synchronicity is a meaningful coincidence. And if you feel like you're not experiencing a lot of synchronicity in your life and you'd like to, there actually are ways to actively create a synchronicity or actively have a conversation with the universe. And stay with me here because I know this might get a little weird, but tarot cards and oracle cards are actually a great way to establish a synchronistic connection with the universe. And if you'd like to learn how to do this, then go ahead and like and subscribe because it's something I'm going to be diving into in my next video. So thank you so much for joining me today. Maybe it's not a coincidence that you found this video, ah? I hope to see you in my next video about tarot cards. And guys, it's time to wake up.
What do I mean by reality?